Today we're back with another Essentials mod list for Crusader Kings 3, and this is the biggest one I have made yet, with over 40 mods included. But as we do have so many mods, I'm not going very in depth on each mod, instead just a brief overview. And of course, there's a Steam Workshop collection down below and in the correct load order, so you can download all these mods with a single click of a button, and of course, you can also subscribe in a single click as well. It's a win-win. First up, we have all our quality of life mods, which if you don't know, these are mods that make the game experience smoother, a bit nicer, but don't actually change any mechanics. Population variation makes courtiers and guests appear with many unique traits you don't often see, such as hunters, gardeners, even injuries and deviants, and everything else, which goes a long way to making all the people in your court feel unique. Knight Manager Continued gives you a menu where you can completely block entire categories of people ever serving in your armies, so you can set it and forget it, without the worries of heirs or councillors getting their heads ripped off. Forcing Acclaimed Knight makes manage them at least somewhat less annoying, as now you can force potential knights into serving from the Acclaimed Knight sections. Like, why is this not already in the game? Another mod on the same level of pain removal, Clear Notifications lets you quickly clear all the spam by just clicking F. Multilingual Education lets you automatically educate the children of your court in other languages, as long as you have adults who speak those languages in your court. Pedagogy Enhanced adds a decision to search for a tutor, and if you're lucky, you can get one with the excellent aptitude. But either way, it's really useful to just find someone at least good at tutoring your children. And it also includes some balance changes as well, like making the AI better at choosing tutors. The Headhunter adds a new menu for searching characters by clicking Ctrl plus Y, and it's way better than the default one of finding recruitable people for all your court positions, knights, commanders, and so on. Auto promote culture, auto conversion, auto increase control, and auto accept indulgences are all really nice mods to have. So if you set your councillor to do any of these tasks, rather than finishing after a single county is done, they just automatically move on to the next available county. But of course, the indulgence one is only useful if you're the head of faith of a big religion with the communion tenet, and if you know, you know. Better Barbershop, even with the game updating to pretty much include a lot of its features, it still offers new things like a complete color picker for clothes, more zoom levels, and much more. Nameplates adds information about people in event to make them a bit easier to follow by adding names, titles, and their relations to you. And finally, for quality of life mods, we have Extended Outliner, which adds a lot of useful information to pinned characters, your armies, and holdings. Now next up, we have a couple of mods that improve the way the game looks. First, Raised Army Coat of Arms changes a typical red rally point to your coat of arms. Patrum Scuta completely reworks a bunch of the vanilla title banners, and as you can see on screen, I think they look a lot better. And of course, we couldn't forget the Community Flavor Pack, one of the most loved CK3 mods, which adds a massive amount of historically accurate clothes, armors, artifacts, royal courts, hairstyles, which all goes together to add so much variety to the game's characters. And then we also have ethnicities and portraits expanded, which just goes hand in hand with the Community Flavor Pack. Again, adding clothes like crowns, clothing patterns, war attire for a bunch of different cultures, as well as skin and ivory textures. And if you use this mod and then go back to not using it, the difference is really noticeable. So I always run these two mods no matter what. Next up, we have Battle Graphics, which takes the battles from just two people swinging swords at each other to full-on battle scenes which are actually fun to watch. And it includes many unit reworks from the Unit Pack's expanded mod. The Interaction Icon project brings a new style to all the interaction icons, while also adding to the many blank spaces. Like, I think the style looks nice, but having icons for pretty much everything is why I like this mod so much. Artifact Variation adds over 400 new icons that perfectly match existing artifacts, with many variations for each type. And they all look great and just match the game style really well. More Holding Graphics introduces loads of new graphics for holdings based on culture, religion, which, like many of these mods, is just nice for variety. Similarly, More Background Illustrations adds over 317 backgrounds to characters depending on what they're doing and where they are, and they can all be used in the Barbershop too. Wasteland Border Color Remover removes the ugly red border surrounding impassable terrain like mountains, and paired with Simple Border, the map as a whole just looks so much cleaner. But finally, for graphics, to admire all these new fancy borders up close, better camera zoom. And it's also great paired with our next mod, Medieval Art, starting us off in my favourite category, gameplay mods. It adds loads of brand new 3D models to the world map, such as buildings, monuments, and a much improved Constantinople. But on top of all of that, you get ruins you can restore, a new dynasty legacy, special buildings, and even an art school. But this is easily one of the best mods that just blends in perfectly with the feel of Crusader Kings 3. Commanders Plus adds 17 new commander traits, but why I like this mod so much is that all the new traits and the vanilla ones are now able to level up by taking part and winning battles, like Master Ambusher. First level gives jungle and forest advantage, plus counter efficiency per intrigue. Level 2 increases intrigue and army movement speed, and finally level 3 increases the entire army's damage by 10%. So with this mod, keeping your commanders alive is more important than ever. Core Positions Plus doesn't add any new core positions, but instead expands all the current ones by adding 3 tasks to the majority of them. Similar to Physicians after Legends of the Dead, like the Master of the Horse is now able to boost your cavalry damage, or the Seneschal making buildings cheaper but taking longer to build. More interactive Vassals completely changes civil wars and how your vassals act. With this mod, at the start of a faction or an independence war, every vassal gets called to the war, where they can stay neutral or pick a side and get involved, which just causes absolute chaos, but makes them a lot of fun. That means you need to make sure your vassals actually like you, or instead are terrified of you. Either works. And also, while allied to your vassals, you're now actually able to call them to war, making vassal alliances not feel like a massive waste. There is a lot more as well, like loyalist factions and more aggressive AI, which all of this can be enabled or disabled in the game rules. And on the topic of chaos though, we have historic invasions, which, as you can guess, brings loads of historical characters to the game, spawning them with soldiers as they attempt to conquer the historical land. From Harold Fairhair actually expanding, to Otto trying to form the HRE in 911 AD, and so much more. Prisoners of War makes people captured in sieges attached to that army rather than teleport into the dungeon. This means if your heir gets captured, you actually have a chance to attack that army and free them before they return home. Social relations expanded, inheritable relations, and rescue and vengeance are 3 mods that make some really nice changes. Social relations simply makes characters' opinions of each other much more varied, with things like having common friends, being friends with somebody's rival, or being a family friend. And on top of all that, declaring war on somebody will cause their friends or family not to like you. It's just a whole new layer to opinions and relationships in CK3. Then inheritable relations makes your friendships and bitter rivalries pass on to your heirs, with the potential friend and potential rivalry opinion modifiers. And then we have rescue and vengeance. This lets you and the AI rescue captured family, friends, and even family friends by war. And finally, there is also revenge wars. If you get caught murdering somebody from a powerful family, there's not much stopping the AI coming for you with the full force of their armies. Now, these 3 mods together are fantastic, and of course, like all the other mods on this list, I'm not mentioning every little detail, but I'm sure you get the idea. Councillors experience trait makes your councillors actually improve while on the job for a long time, with a new trait with 3 levels, which just makes so much sense. Like in vanilla, somebody can be a steward for 20 years and just not improve, but not anymore. These new traits improve the relevant skill and how effective they are at their tasks. Culture Expanded adds many new cultures to the world, as well as new titles, decisions, often focusing around uniting a certain group of people, and as well as some nice changes to current cultures. Rice adds 34 new flavor packs to the game, like, yes, 34. Like, every time I talk about this mod, there's a ton more content covering all parts of the world. Like, there's just too much here to talk about. But you get decisions, events, many new activities, struggles, even the Silk Road allowing you to become a merchant. Now, this doesn't do Rice justice, as in my opinion, it is probably my favorite mod. VIET adds over 1,000 new events to the game, which is really good if you've played the game a decent amount. Like, you've already read and seen all the events before, so adding this just helps keep you engaged. Cities of Wonder 3 adds 3 new levels to hold-ins, really letting you and the AI build mega cities with new special buildings once you reach tier 5, the Burge, like great universities, grand cathedrals, or colosseums. And one thing I really like is that you can actually skip the long, boring upgrade progress by taking the decision to found a city of wonder. You get the Burge Foundation, and once upgraded to tier 5, you automatically get a tier 5 hold-in. Although, be aware, it is very expensive and does take a big chunk of your monthly income too. Then there's also unique structures that can be built, like the tunnel network, which, if upgraded enough, can basically turn into makeshift mines. More provinces expanded adds almost 7,000 new baronies, hundreds of counties, and a couple new duchies and kingdoms, which is really noticeable even if we just compare Ireland alone. But this mod does have such a big impact as it makes the world feel a lot bigger, but it will likely hurt your game performance, and that's why the final mod today is population control. So you can take a decision to kill many people, which means there's less random AI doing stupid things, tanking your game speed. It does focus on people like far away and lowborns and stuff, so you're unlikely to notice anybody dying really. But remember, Steam Workshop link is in the description, and if you found this useful, consider subscribing. Thank you.